Alright, so everybody, welcome to the grand finals of Gold Highlander of UGC. I messed that up totally, but whatever, you know what it is. I am Kip here with Brick and Melon on camera. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to see who will take this in the best of 3 maps between Crank Gaming and Aces and the Gamers. Zed will be Aces and the Gamers, that's what we'll be calling them. CG is Crank's Gaming. CG is on offense this first round, and Zed is going to be building up on defense. So far, everything looking pretty standard.
Yeah, so far, it just looks like the engineer is just running the Eureka effect, just in case if they get pressured way too early and he needs to get out. Definitely a good strategy. It's something I don't personally like because there have been issues with the Eureka effect making players crash, but for the most part that has been fixed. But it's still something I never want to test, but it's definitely a smart thing for engineers to run.
It's better than during the Halloween update when the Eureka effect had that how many chance of you doing the thriller taunt instead of transporting back to spawn.
That was absolutely awful.
That was funny.
That did happen to Dave plus one time.
It was Russian roulette at that point, but we are counting down on the timer, and here we go. Already Blue pushing their soldier out, getting some really high jumps in there, and gets over the cliffs, and that is Servo, who is already on the roof behind the entire Zed team, so we'll see what kind of damage he can do, and it looks like nobody on Zed realized he got back there.
Yeah, that could be really dangerous. It looks like the engineer is kind of looking around, and he is going to get the sniper here, but the scout instantly takes him out.
So not too much damage right there. Looks like CG was just kind of sending an exploratory committee to see what they could do as they push the cart ×3 ×4 through the tunnel. So far, Caspian, their med, staying in spawn. Pretty standard stuff we're seeing out here.
Yeah, nothing really special or different. A lot of teams kind of just do this. It looks like they're going to push out right now, and they're going to go through the tunnel. This is typically what you see in higher level play, is teams pushing through this under to get the sentry gun, because then that way you're not going to get destroyed by a pyro.
Looks like Servo is heading back towards a red spawn at this moment, so he could do a lot of damage right there. Just amazing jumps, but we do have the Ubers exchanged. Blue Uber coming through the tunnel as Red drops down from the cliff and able to push them back through the tunnel. So a nice defensive pop right there, but they didn't finish off anybody, and the combo is going to come right back. Oh, so a little bit, I don't know, Brick, what do you think about that play right there?
Crit Gaming played it really smart there. They saw them coming in with the Uber, and they kited it. They ran away with it. They understood that theirs was worse. And then the second that the red Uber was over, they just pushed right back in. They didn't care that they didn't have Uber. You don't need Uber to push. Basically, you're only going to be pushing with, you're only going to be holding if you don't have an Uber, if the opposing team does.
Looks like we will have this. Go ahead, Nella, what do you see?
It looks like there were actually a couple of people stuck in spawn for a while there, with just the soldier from Blue spawn camping them, including the demo man from Red was caught in that, so it looks like they might not be able to get a firm hold up on second if Crank Gaming does take enough ground, which it looks like they have.
Yep, Crank Gaming definitely has this roof completely, despite the scout and the soldier that are kind of tagging along back there. They're not really going to get much done, especially now that their spawn has been cut off a second.
Yeah, those Ubers are even. For a while, Meta, we had a little bit of a Uber advantage, but really not able to do anything. And like you said, Brick, especially when that spawn door is cut off right here. So 2 minutes and 7 seconds for the first 2 points. Not a very good time for the defensive team, but it's Badwater. It all comes down to how effectively you can push that last, but we are going to see this Uber pop in. There is a level 3 sentry gun being wrangled, taking a lot of spam right there, and I think it will stay alive. There's some nice air blasting out of Pyro Profit on Zed. We'll see if he can keep that sentry gun alive, and it looks like it will stay alive a little bit longer. Not a whole lot of frags. Servo did go down for Crank's Gaming, but in general, Red is going to try to push up and try to make more happen here, but don't want to overextend, so probably a good play right there.
Yeah, they do actually end up losing both their heavy and their demo, so it's going to slow their push a little, especially since they didn't really get that sentry gun. But if anyone was able to actually notice there, Bosch was able to kind of distract them for a little bit, for like a second or two, to get their entire team to focus on him while he tried to get a backstab on the medic or even sap the gun. It wasn't successful at all, but it allowed his team to just push right in front of that sentry gun and get the Ubers exchanged.
And we'll see Caspian has a little bit of Uber disadvantage. Oh, I love it. The sentry gun was rescue wrangled out of the position around the corner, is now in the building, which is a much safer position for it, a lot harder to take down, and just being wrangled like crazy. So Lelouch, was that how we decided to say his name?
Yeah, it's Lelouch.
Lelouch right there. It's a French pronunciation.
Otherwise, we can just call him LL.
Maybe I'll just go with that. But so a good decision right there to move that sentry gun up, take a little bit more of an aggressive hold right here, and Zed looking pretty good. This, sometimes the third position, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is easier to hold than last.
I would actually agree with you. The third and the last point are definitely the most two important points on this map. A lot of teams can typically cap first pretty easily, and as long as if you're really aggressive after your first push to get into second, you can easily control second, third, fourth.
We're seeing some control issues falling apart right here for Zed as the Uber exchange did go off. Blue lost their Heavy and Demo Man are still alive, but Red Soldier is behind the lines trying to get the pick on the medic, but Caspian stays alive with some good defense from his Heavy. We'll see the Sentry Gun did go down, and Lelouch tried to get up at level 1, but it went down as well. This is probably going to be the end of the hold because right now it's only the Sniper up for the forward ground, although the spawns are coming in for Zed, and looks like the combo is back together trying to hold it, but they're probably going to fall back right here.
Yeah, they just lost too much ground because they didn't have enough players to really support any damage that was being dealt. Print Gaming just had enough players to keep them out.
So 4 minutes and 55 seconds for 4 points. It's better than they had for 2 points, but it's still going to be quite the hold right here on last for Zed if they want to give themselves even a fighting chance to beat this time. In the second round of this first half, we will just be playing one half of this payload, and then we'll be going to Swiftwater payload.
Yeah, both teams have their Uber charge already. Blue's down in some numbers, so it's going to kind of delay their push. Their Heavy's got a 7-second respawn, and Red already has that sentry gun built. So we're probably at least looking at another 2-minute hold here. That's if Gaming was to be able to push right in and cap it.
Right, Mel, we can talk, we have a little bit of a break here, so I want to ask you about playing Pyro here on Badwater Last. What's the approach you usually take? Do you play that? Oh, we actually have the Super coming in here, so hold on that.
All right.
But we see some nice air blasting. Maybe you can talk about that air blasting from Prophet.
Prophet's actually doing an excellent job right now. Basically, the main thing you're going to be looking for is Pyro when the Uber drops in. There are a couple approaches that a combo will typically take, whether dropping it down on the gun, coming from ramp, or coming from map room are the typical places you see them coming down from. And basically your job is as Pyro is just to mess them up, be annoying, like try to get them far enough away from the gun, try to get them separated, anything you can do to try to stop either from popping your combo or from getting your gun, or at least delaying enough time. That's kind of the thing with Pyro and payload defense. You'll see a lot of times Pyros, even at higher levels, will be sticking with the gun, be watching for spies, and they'll be trying to stop Ubers as much as possible.
Awesome,
and
yeah,
we what Prophet's doing, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he did manage to separate Demo from the medic, but Caspian managed to get away alive, so these Ubers will continue to be even. Caspian wasn't healing there for a while, so Meadowy is going to have this slight Uber advantage, but not too much you can do with this when you're trying to hold on with anything you can at last. Any reason they would go for an offensive pop right here, Brick?
I wouldn't see it, because right now both teams have Uber, and there's no reason to risk you wasting your Uber and them getting away. And see, they kind of have an early pop there. Looks like they might be able to get the sentry gun unless Lelouch rescue rangers it, which he attempts to do, but he is unsuccessful in his attempt.
Oh man, but Meadowy was able to hold on to that Uber forever, and that Uber comes off Red and just mows down anybody who is left alive for Crank Gaming. Caspian among those casualties.
That's definitely a good move by Meadowy. Something you'll see in like steel, iron, and sometimes even silver. There are medics that are hop their Uber the second they see an opposing Uber. It's not a good move. You want to kind of like control your Uber as long as possible. And Meadowy did a really good job of making sure that everybody on his team was alive, that he was safe, and didn't pop his Uber until he absolutely needed to.
Then he went down to Goku, who somehow got behind the flanks and got a 2K, and one of them was the medic right there. So Meadowy is now going to be at a significant Uber disadvantage, and I'll be eager to see if he comes up with that regular medigun, or maybe try a quick fix or crits, or I don't know, who knows. But they're at a definitely disadvantage right now.
Yeah, right now, if I'm Meadowy, I'm thinking more quick fix than crits, because you're down 80%. There's really not much you can do, and the best thing you're really going to want is to make sure everybody's staying alive, make sure that everybody has health, and that's really what the quick fix is going to allow you to do. Is they're not going to have like their full buff, but they will be able to stay alive. But it looks like the flank of Crank Gaming just jumped on top of Meadowy, and everybody else on set died. So we're going to see here should be a cap for Crank Gaming.
8 minutes and 56 seconds. That's a really nice hold from Zed. From the first 2 points, I thought this would be one of those 4-minute times, but no, they were able to hold on to third and then put up a hold on last. So they definitely have a good shot at beating this time. But while we have a second, let's go over the teams real quick. I will take Zed in blue. We have Meadowy as Medic, Scarab is Demo Man, Mafio is Sniper, Carl is Heavy, MJ is Scout, Aegis is Soldier, Prophet is Pirate, Lelouch is Engineer, and then 4-4 is Spy. And Brick, why don't you go ahead and take CG?
Alright, on Craig Gaming, we have Mig Charger, and if anybody doesn't know, we have a donation fund for Mig Charger so that he can hopefully one day get good at this game. It's kind of an inside joke, and I was informed I have to say it. We have Caspian on Medic, Goku on Scout, Shirt on Heavy, Rex on Demo, Servo on Soldier, Rill on Pyro, Bosch on Spy, and then John Milter on Sniper.
Alright, so we have... well, it was actually pretty fast. We have 10 seconds left to kill time, but what are we seeing here on defense? Looks like the same old out of CG. Not too much you can do on Badwater. Everything's been tried, and this is definitely the best place to go. But he's only a level 2 right now, so interesting decision.
Yeah, despite like their pick classes and Bosch and John Milter being at the very bottom of their classes or their team, their combo has done really well of being able to make stuff happen. They really haven't depended or relied on their flank to do work for them. They've pretty much just done it themselves, and that's something that, like, if you want to be a team, that's something you're going to have to be able to do, as your combo is going to have to make plays for themselves. But it also is really good to have a flank that will make plays for you.
We actually had the Uber on red there forced by the Demo Man who jumped in with Caber. This would be very good for blue team, who still has 100% Uber and a potential move coming up soon.
Yeah, typical move for offensive teams is just Caber jumping to try to get a medic drop or a medic pop, and it's a really good move there to get their medic popped, because now there's no defense here outside of a Pyro and this Engineer with Wrangle, and it's just not going to last. You don't have an Uber to help defend you. You're just pretty much going to be wasting time.
As Sentry Gun goes down, Red trying to defend their pretty far back right here. It definitely gave up control of the cliff right here, and finally it looks like Zed is going to pop the Uber, try to get Caspian as he falls back. He's at almost 90% already with that Uber, just hanging on with his Demo Man, so maybe they'll try to force back in with this Uber, but
they can play aggressive here, but there's just not much to support Rex here if he was to go in. I'm not seeing any classes near him or around him to follow up on any damage, so you're better off just kind of sticking on second and keeping your pressure there. But he definitely doesn't want to give up any land. If they're going to be capping that cart, he wants to make sure that those players are hurt as much as possible.
Right now they have a ×7 on the cart. Interesting, considering ×3 is the fastest it can go, but regardless, it gets the job done.
Cap points. Always important to get cap points.
Teams want their points.
Adding the stats.
Oh, wow.
And at this point, it's really
those actually bombed in and got the drop on red there. I'm not sure if you guys caught that.
It's really interesting that they were putting some pressure on that team because they didn't have any Uber. Red had a huge Uber advantage, and Crank Gaming just gave it away completely by having their medic drop, and then Meadowy was able to get his Uber, but Goku jumps straight onto Meadowy and gets the medic pin.
Those meat shots.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that really could have brought a huge advantage for Zed, but CG going down.
No, the medic's calling the door!
Oh no!
Sorry, that always gets me. They fixed that glitch.
Earlier we were talking about those spawn doors and how it is hurts medics before in the past.
Oh, that's so sad.
We just saw it right there.
Yeah, oh man. I feel like you should get a refund or something, but gotta deal with the cards. Gotta play with the cards dealt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that allowed blue team to push up really far, already taking corner right here at third, and that means there's going to be no defense from CG, and that's going to mean they have almost 6 minutes to push into last, which is a nice chunk of time, and they can afford several failed pushes right here. They do have about 20%.
Get a notification from Carl's specialized minigun that he's on a 5-kill streak right now.
Oh wow.
Important things.
So even on offense, Carl's able to do a lot of work. Payload for heavies can actually be pretty difficult to work with because you're constantly holding the W key, and you really are only able to do damage if your demo man's doing damage. So the fact that he's doing really well here and getting kills is definitely a good accomplishment for him, but he gets shot there by John Milter. Nothing really he can do there. It's the struggles of the heavy main.
There was a level 3 sentry gun, but it was rescue rangered out of there to top deck. And actually, it looks like it did go down. The Uber is popped.
Stalling by that pyro there was excellent. Kept him completely off the bottom floor, able to get out of the sentry. Wasn't really able to get too many picks either.
No,
And Uber was popped on red immediately after, and it looks like Zed wasn't really able to do much with that.
Yeah, this 4 minute and 40 seconds can really fly pretty fast for Zed if they don't kind of regroup, and Meta Week going down there to servo. So really now time is actually working against them instead of for them.
That's right, and especially on Payload Last, especially Badwater Last in specific. I mean, we can see a stalemate forever on this map.
Yeah, you have 3 different spawn doors, and they can just come from anywhere, and you really don't know where they're going to be coming from.
And it's just so easy to stop on the defender's side. I mean, Zed got a very good defensive time. They got a good time to work with that 4 minutes here. At the same time, this last point can be an absolute killer if the team's able to get a solid defense. It's not as much to getting a sentry gun up as just, doing everything right to stop their pushes, stop their Ubers.
Positioning
is impossible.
Position is everything right there. Right now, it's a little off right here for CG, but it's working. They're able to get these frags, even though scattered as they are, where, of course, offense is going to have a faster spawn time, but you're forcing them to go quite a way back. And as far as I know, there is there is a tele up, but there's only so far and so fast you can go with that.
Yeah, see, we were talking about how it can be really difficult to push into last, especially if you don't have Uber. We actually did end up dying there, so it's going to stall their push even more. By the time they're even able to push, it's going to be already 240 by the time they have that Uber charge and ready to go in.
So the time is ticking down what seemed like a large amount, an epic amount of time, and I mean that is epoch, E-P-O-C-K. Anyway, was dwindled down to only 3 minutes right here. Yeah, as you say, that Uber's still not ready. It's going to be at 90%, and oh no!
And see, I love how we just informed them too to not do this sort of thing. So I'm going to assume that Aces and the Gamers was able to push in because they had 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. So
that's really unlucky. Wow. Don't even get to hear the result. Can we get confirmation or what happened?
Yeah, I'll try to get confirmation.
Oh boy.
Yeah, let's take bets on who won.
I'm definitely gonna have to. It's gonna be safe to say if it closed that fast, while they had 2 minutes and 40 or 2 minutes and 50, whatever it was left, Zed was able to push it and cap it. It's definitely unfortunate that they closed their server that fast. I already talked to the guys on Zed to not do that sort of thing. Unfortunately, I didn't have anybody from Cranked Gaming, so. But thankfully, Zed won't do it to us. They know and they understand to let the server kind of ride out for at least 30, 45 seconds before doing anything.
I actually got confirmation that it looks like Zed did win the first map.
Yeah, and not only that, but they pretty much forfeited that map before Zed even won it. From what he says is, we won, they exceeded before it ended, even though we told them we are staying on their server, I think. So it looks like we may be staying on their server.
I feel like we got ripped off of a nice, exciting finish right there.
Yeah, it's really unlucky.
But anyway, so Zed getting the first round, or getting the first map, Badwater, which they lost, a couple months ago, but looked pretty good this time around. How do you think that will affect them going into Swiftwater, a map that they chose and feel a little bit more confident going into?
Knowing that they took, technically, Cranked Gaming's map, they're going to have a lot of positive attitude going into this, especially when they thought that they were just kind of, have to really fight hard for this or even potentially get rolled. So now that they're going into their map, the map that they specifically picked, the map that they thought would be the worst map for Cranked Gaming, it's going to give them a lot of confidence. And with Highlander, confidence is everything.